This is Coda Radio, episode 236 for December 19th, 2016. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Coda Radio, Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show taking a pragmatic look at the art and business of software development and related technologies. This episode is brought to you by our two fine sponsors, DigitalOcean and Linux Academy. I'll tell you more about those great sponsors as this here show goes on. My name is Chris, and joining me every single week, no longer having to dust the snow off, why yes, folks, it's Mr. Michael Dominic. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Mr. Fisher.
Hello, sir. So just a full warning. This is our last live broadcast of the year. We have a clip show next week put together by highly trained experts. Mostly the beard. All the beard. So this episode, there's a tradition at Jupiter Broadcasting, the last live episode of the year, there's no rules. So anything goes, Mike. Anything goes.
Anything goes.
As long as we don't get Donald Trump hate tweeting us, we're good. That's the only line, and there's just other geopolitical reasons that are putting that pressure on us. Okay.
Well, we should first introduce our non-sponsoring sponsor of the week.
See, we got a whole list here. Let me see. I got a whole list of people who don't sponsor. You want that list? JetBrains.
How about Einstocks Olgerd Icelandic Wee Heavy? It's
what?
A beer.
Whoa!
Yes.
Give it to me again. I'm sorry. What was it?
Einstock with like a double dot over the O.
Okay.
Olgerd Icelandic Wee Heavy.
Oh, that is.
It is described as a Scottish ale brewed with angelica root and smoke Icelandic barley.
Whoa! And how is the flavor?
Hang on. It is not bad.
Yeah. Do you get the smoked barley in there? You get that?
It's very smoky. Yeah.
So I had a few Hoopla links to throw together. I had a whole series of stuff. Plus, I know we don't really need to talk much about it. I did get Mario Go, and some downloads. There's some numbers, but nothing like that. I'm in the Hoopla that I am super excited to talk about really up front. There's a couple of things later on in the show though that I am jazzed about. So I'm kind of curious to know what you're kicking around, Mr. Mysterious East Coaster.
Yeah, this year sucked.
Uh-oh, is this going to be our 2016 look back?
This is our 2016 wrap up.
Yeah, man. This is a rough year.
Yeah, this may have been
the roughest.
2015 was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
So it wasn't nearly as bad as 2015.
This year was harder for me than 2008. Because in 2008, I managed, at that point in time, I was reducing my contractor workload anyways, and I happened to keep a couple of clients that one was in medical and one was in solar, and they weren't really hit by the recession.
Yeah.
And then I started my own business, which was outside of that market, not really hit by the recession. But yeah, this year has been just a lot of fighting towards different initiatives, changing my mind halfway through the year on some projects, just all kinds of stuff that. Oof.
Yeah, this year was like a lot of action but no result kind of thing. I don't know. Even in the open source community and the software platforms that I use, I feel like I'm trying to think of what was the big positive thing out of this year, and it was all basically terrible. I mean, really, Mac OS got worse.
Right. You had to bail in some cases and go to another platform, which is never something you're hoping to do at the beginning of a year.
Right. Well, that's a huge loss, right? The iOS development space, I feel like, has gotten worse. I think if we were more of an indie developer focused show, about independent developers in the App Store, we would be even more depressed.
Yeah,
because that whole monetization story is just horrible, right? That's just bad times for everybody. I mean, the numbers are trending down, and they've been trending that way for a while, and it's basically really, really hard to make money in the App Store. I guess the only thing that's not surprising about this year is how predictable everything was, right? I mean, I want to go back if you'll humor me a little, Chris. Can we do this? We've never actually challenged our yearly predictions before.
You want to go back and see if we can find the episode from January or something?
I think I wrote a blog post to follow it.
Oh, look at you. Did you?
I think I did. So let's just bring that up and see, like, the 2015 year review. Okay.
So you do. Okay. And I'll go look. I'll go see if I can dig up our episode, see what we did around that time, too, while you do that.
So this was an Apple-focused one.
What?
So
Weird.
if I'll put the, I guess I wrote more than one, but this one's only about Apple. Or maybe I didn't. I just probably stopped. Probably got too sad and just gave up. Anyway,
this is rough.
So there's a link in the chat, but I'll go right through it. Right. First off, 2015. What was the big thing for the Apple people? Swift. Well, Swift kept right a pace in 2016, right? I mean, we can't argue against that.
Right.
The IBM partnership. Not a ton happening there.
Sounds like it's not a suck, but yeah, just not a lot of.
I mean, I don't hear a lot of like developers or small shops really getting excited about working with IBM and Swift.
Yeah.
You know, in the whole consulting space.
Yeah.
And then my last item, it was a 3-item list: sub Apple par products. And boy, let's talk about battery life.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Touch Bar.
Yeah. Yeah. AirPod delays. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody had a bad year. I don't know if Apple had any particularly worse. I mean, I guess they kind of had that lackluster year.
Well, I think their previous years were better than the average.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I'm not one of these guys who thinks like,
What about Microsoft?
You know, Microsoft is in a lot of ways like the most unappreciated person in this whole story, but they have a history of just not capitalizing on wins, right?
I think Linux had a pretty good year.
Okay, well, what is new and exciting in Linux that didn't exist last year?
It didn't lose the cloud market share to some new hot competitor. There was a lot of interest in the container space. There is more services running on top of Linux than ever, more IoT type category devices running Linux. So I think it's just the momentum really is the story about Linux to some sense now. In a big way for the market, Linux is just the standard. And but I think the area I was thinking of when I said it was actually the desktop for folks like yourself, not for your average user. I'm not saying it was the year of Linux desktop. I'm just saying there's a category of user like Mr. Michael Dominic, who legitimately is in this category, like Mr. Leo Laporte.
It's for people who like to mess with computers.
For people who like to mess with computers, Linux did very well this year, and I think that's actually a really good thing. So Linux had a good year. I think there has been some interesting developments online too, in terms of the way people consume news and find out about new apps, and the way reviews are passed around. Some of that's, but mostly all stayed the same.
I think that's a continuing trend, right? I mean, I'm looking back at my archives here, so I have this post I put up in December the 15th of 2015, entitled "iOS Needs to Go Pro," and in it I'm talking about how with the iPad Pro launch, Apple really ought to focus on becoming the leader in professional tablet software. And we are going on 2017 now. We're at the end of 2016. We're actually almost, to the day a year later or 4 days later. And the iPad is still I mean, it is the leading tablet, but tablets in general are not lighting up the world, right?
Yeah, they're doing interesting little things here and there, especially like in small business.
Yeah, but they haven't created like an opportunity for professional grade software for independent developers to charge, 50, $100 a license.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and that what really strikes me, Chris, is that I read back to some of the prediction pieces from 2015's end, saying going into 2016. And things haven't really moved, right? There was some excitement about wearables, but they didn't really take off in 2015. There was some excitement about, pro tablet software. Maybe the biggest thing is that like Docker got bigger, but it was already huge in 2015, right? If anything, I think the big change of this year, honestly, in tone, in terms of like developers and independent developers, was that desperation of 2015 has turned into like weird resolve of 2016, but really the market's been hollowed out.
Do you think Now, when you're talking about this, do you think in general that just not a lot of changes here because maybe our attention was more like on elections and things like that? Maybe people are just not working very much. I don't know.
I have a theory that like everything is economics, right? Mm-hmm. And you're not going to get little companies innovating on software platforms if they can't make money.
Yeah. So how do we not make this a super depressing episode? Because
oh no, I don't think we do. Right?
Really?
I think,
Really? We're gonna.
Yeah, I think we just wallow in it a little bit. I mean, you can't. We are not the Republican National Committee. We can't just like change the facts on the ground to suit our purposes.
Are you talking about fake news?
No, I'm talking about like not stopping someone from being your nominee who's obviously bad.
Oh. Now you're talking about Hillary. No.
Dude, Bernie should. All right. Do you want to do this InfoWars thing again about Bernie? We can do it.
What was it? I don't know.
I love Bernie.
I think yeah. We don't want to talk about politics though, do we? Because I think here's my theory. I think Bernie would have had a good shot if they would have ran him. I think he probably would have had a good shot. Won. That's my Bernie theory.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Google Home is an improvement. I feel like the AI stuff is interesting, but I feel like it's 2 to 3 years out.
Yeah.
Before it's really an opportunity for small developers. I
don't know. I kind of feel like it might be there. So there's something that's I've been noticing a lot of coverage of the Alexa recently, which is interesting since the Home is now shipping. And did you see that the Wynn Las Vegas hotels are putting an Amazon Echo in every hotel room? Control the lights, the blinds, the television, the temperature, all that kind of stuff. Just by your voice. In fact, they say Alexa will let guests control all that stuff I just mentioned, as well as being your own personal butler at the service of each of their guests. They say it makes the guest experience seamlessly delicious. Seamlessly delicious. All right, I got it. I got to play this for you. Seamlessly delicious.
As we have moved through the years in the development of our business, technology has always played a very important part. The thing that Amazon has done with Alexa is quite perfect. I have never, ever seen anything that was more intuitively dead on to making a guest experience seamlessly delicious. Effortlessly convenient than the ability to talk to your room and say, Alexa, I'm here. Open the curtains. Lower the temperature. Turn on the news. She becomes our butler at the service of each of our guests.
That's an interesting use case for it, and I can see one of many like that. And they're using the white Alexa, so it looks like it ties in better with the room's decor. That's a big get for Amazon. And, the more they can suss out people's intentions and what they like, the better it's going to make the Amazon shopping platform, too. And I bet you there might be a way to order Amazon products while you're in your room. Possibly. They're going to have it available to 4,748 guests coming this summer. What do you think, Mike? I don't hear you. Hello? 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 End of your spectacular, and Mike muted himself.
I muted myself.
Unbelievable. So what do you think? Here's why I mention this, because to me, the device, in particular, the Alexa device, is the most friendly to third-party developers. So this seems like this is the device that developers would want to succeed, possibly. I'm not sure. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Amazon is they've had so many initiatives and they've killed almost all of them.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Google.
No, I think I'm talking about Microsoft. Oh,
I really think. I think while Google wants to have a competitor out there and Microsoft's got something too, I think Amazon's now been on the market for a year with something that's pretty compelling, and I think they've just hit it to the next level. I think they're lapping these guys. That's just my take. I think they're lapping it. And I think these might get to a point where they're going to have enough. They probably have more market penetration than some popular Android phones. Not like really popular.
I would be willing to like try an Alexa. In fact, I've been tempted to just order one and see what it's all about. Mm-hmm. But there's something. Maybe it's me, and it sounds crazy to say, and I feel bad. I know people work on Amazon. I'm not trying to be like a D-bag or anything. I definitely feel like if push came to shove, Amazon would drop this. maybe that's wrong.
I don't think so. I think this is a storefront in every home. I think it's.
Okay, so this is actually like a fundamental beachhead.
I think it really is. I think it's a beachhead, and I think it's the most clever one. And I think that's why Google obviously has their own reasons to have something like this. But I think if any business, because think about just even if they can even just suss out a few more of your interests by you using this device, and they can improve your specific results when you go to Amazon.com, so they sell just a little bit more. And they can do that across, let's just even say 10% or even 3% of their customer base. That's got to be a big deal revenue-wise. When you take that to the scale of that size of it.
Okay. I buy that, right? Because even just getting better You know what? I tend to always buy things on my Amazon recommendations. That doesn't mean I'll buy everything. It just means I'm more likely to buy something that was recommended, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's also going to play into the more media, like video and audio and music content that they have. They're going to be able to pitch that to you better. I think it's brilliant. And the best part is all of like the ecosystem of gadgets they can now set up deals with and feature on their website, so they'll sell more of those things too, like the Hughes lights and whatnot. I think this one's got a real chance.
So let's be forward looking for just a second here, Chris. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the space. We have let me just ask you a question. Do you feel that Siri is in the same space as the Home and the Alexa?
No, I don't. I think Alexa and Home, no. I mean, because, well, I don't know. I really guess I'm speaking out of turn. The only thing I really have much experience with is Siri personally, and then friends that have Alexas. So
I have obviously an iPhone, and I have a Google Home. Obviously, we've been talking about for a few weeks. I can tell you that they are radically different products. In fact, I was out for lunch on a meeting, and I said, "Hey Siri," of course she'll work while I'm on the air because, I did Ahoy telephone asking for a song, and it took 3 or 4 times for Siri to get it right. Oh. The Home basically always gets it right unless it's something weird.
Yeah, even like from what I've seen, even like when it's in the middle of playing a very loud song, it still gets what you're saying. That's
so. It makes me want an Android phone, but I kind of don't know if that would be much better. My point though is like, if this is going to be the growth market for 2017. Because I think my negativity on 2016 was that, there just wasn't a new growth market, right? Everything's mature now.
Yeah. Or locked up in a sense. It's not necessarily mature in the sense of stable. It's mature in the sense of market.
There are big players there, and it's just you need capital, right? I mean, one of the things I'm even finding in the app development or general software development business is it is super hard to compete with like marketing strategies and sales strategies when you don't have a couple $1 million bankroll for PPC campaigns. So that's just, a side effect of a mature market, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think Apple even has a role to play in this market? Looking from January 1 to December 31st, 2017.
Yeah, I could see it in the context of iTunes. You're selling media through iTunes. I can see that.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Why not partner with, they never partner with Google, but why not partner with Amazon?
Or Microsoft. Well, they're not going to partner with Amazon because Amazon's selling their own stuff.
Oh, they hate Amazon with fiery passion.
Maybe Microsoft, but I think Microsoft also wants to sell their own ecosystem stuff. So it used to be the ecosystem argument. One of the reasons you got an iPhone is because you got the ecosystem. But now they all got a great ecosystem, and you don't even need their ecosystems in most cases if you're technical enough. So that's not such a compelling argument for something like a voice assistant, because their ecosystem is mostly visual content. So it'd be mostly an Apple TV. Why not just make a fancy Apple TV?
But even in there, you're like you're assuming there's no developer story.
I just can't really. Maybe they're going to try this, but I don't really see them. I don't see them having much value to offer here, unless it was.
Oh, I totally disagree. I mean,
unless
people with iPhones was. What? People with iPhones tend to have more money, spend more money on apps.
What are you going to buy? What are you going to buy through a Siri Home Assistant?
Who knows? You can figure it out, right? A voice-controlled app, a Siri Home Assistant app. I think the challenge is that Apple is just not going to open up this platform.
They would have to, because they don't have anything to offer. The only thing they could offer is a rich third-party platform.
I think they would rather offer basically nothing. then play.
Well, you gotta have Uber. You gotta maybe have like an open table or something like that. You gotta have a few of those staples.
Well, they have some of those things, right? Siri can get an Uber
Yeah,
for you.
so all that stuff's got to be in there.
Is this a sign of the times then? Is this a sign of the future where these development deals, these partnerships end up being actual like old school backroom partnerships and not open access APIs?
Well, I don't know for sure about the Alexa, but my understanding is that it is unlike the Google Home. This is more of an open. Like you can even run the Alexa software on a Linux box.
Right, you can just run Alexa on a server. Yeah.
So this I like a lot about that because that means I can play with it more, I can learn it more. But I believe that I don't think you have to. I'm not quite sure, but I will look into this. But I thought you could build your own bots or services connected to Alexa and not necessarily have to have it approved by Amazon. But I don't genuinely know. Either way, aren't they all of these? But they're all anytime you have an ecosystem controlled by a big vendor, there's gonna be rules you have to follow.
See, my problem here is that like people carry Android phones and iPhones, and unless you're going to get Alexa running on those platforms, I don't know how that Alexa makes sense.
Yeah, I'm frankly surprised and a little disappointed that Amazon didn't do this in 2016. Why? Just like I can summon Google on the internet phone, and you can have Bing search on an Android. Why can't I have an Alexa voice interface that I fire up and there isn't an Alexa app that'll give you like the history of searches and commands and links and things like that. So I would think you would just integrate it into the existing Alexa app.
Well, it's not the case though, right?
No, if it went from something that was in my home to an omnipresent assistant, game changer. And if Google Assistant can work like that with the home, game changer right there. And that would be the only thing that Apple could really do with a Siri Assistant that would be so great is if I could have a couple of them around the place and they're all synchronized via a cloud or whatever. That would be huge.
Okay. I mean, we should get off the virtual assistant thing. I think we should just go to...
Should we? It might be. Maybe it is the big thing for 2017.
Maybe it is the big thing. I mean,
especially when you include bots in the back end that these virtual assistants can trigger for you. So you don't even have to write the core piece of software running on the assistant. You just have to be able to hook into one of the bots or APIs that it can go to. And you can just be one of the many cogs. That makes them, because when you're talking at the bot level, in theory, you could build a bot in a way that it could work with Google Home or Alexa and just answer differently depending on which device is communicating with the bot. So this could be, if you look at bots and how they can interact with these devices, not even necessarily the bot running on the device, but the bot running on a server that's then doing the work for the device and exchanging information, that could be a huge market for 2017.
I think it is, right? I think bots are a huge market. The problem I have is I don't know how you get around this platform lock-in, particularly with Apple.
Yeah, well, there's that. Or Googs.
Well, but Google, you know what? They're more willing to look the other way on Android, right?
So I believe in 2017 the one to watch will be Microsoft. I
think you're on crack cocaine, but go ahead.
Well, we'll see. We will see. This is a product. This is how I'm viewing this. When Microsoft launches their new thing that they announced for 20, I can't remember the name. I'm sorry. I'm not like I'm super fired up about it, but I still think this is going to be the case. In 2017, when they release their Home Assistant, their Cortana Hub or whatever it is,
it's a Surface Hub. Yeah,
I think that's going to be a. Well, we'll see, but that might be a more agnostic platform solution than Google.
So I think that Microsoft has had the most interesting announcements of 2016. And they have more than anyone else actually put up when they've showed up, right? They've actually, you know what? They've come with products, they've come with services, they've come with the bot API.
Right. Let's do DigitalOcean, and then let's come back and talk a little bit about that, because I get a lot of crap for being mean to Microsoft, and you're right. They actually, looking back at it, had one of the most interesting years. And let's just take a moment and thank DigitalOcean for sponsoring Coder Radio this year. DigitalOcean.com. Go over there and create an account and then apply our promo code CODERDIGITAL, and it's one word, and you get a $10 credit. Then you can create a droplet, you can try out DigitalOcean and really get a feel for how great their interface is. And they have data centers all over the world, and you can get started in less than 55 seconds with pricing plans starting at $5 a month, or you can go hourly. Just go look what you can do for 2 cents an hour. I was talking to, I forgot the number. I was talking to Alan Jude, though, on TechSnap last week. It's in last week's episode. I think he said something like he spun up 36 droplets over the weekend using their straightforward API. So that way he just had additional scalability as he needed it. That's a great use for DigitalOcean. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I spun up a Nextcloud droplet. I went with Ubuntu 16.04 LTS base droplet image in the San Francisco data center. And then I used Snap to install Nextcloud 10. I got it all set up. And I was like, I want Nextcloud 11. I upgraded using Snap to Nextcloud 11. And all of this was done in like 15 minutes, including creating the server, setting up the DNS, changing my root password, all of it. Just boom, 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 boom. And now I can just check a box and add my SSH keys when I spin up a machine. It's so nice. They've got a great interface. So if you're a noob, you're going to have no problem. And if you're an expert, you're going to appreciate some of the little tiny details that they've paid attention to. And they also have great documentation, including a write-up on how to centralize your Docker logs. Go over to DigitalOcean.com, use our promo code CODERDigital, it's one word. And a big thanks to DigitalOcean for sponsoring the Coder Radio Program. Promo code CODERDigital. So, Mr. Dominic, I really do think Microsoft had a pretty interesting year. And I actually think I have reason to believe 2017 may have a few announcements and surprises in it that were bigger than what we heard this year. If the little birdies that are in my family that work at Microsoft, if what they say ships is going to ship, it's going to be a really big deal. And it's going to make some of the stuff that came out this year seem like small stuff, but I don't want to downplay what has happened because they have had a huge year.
Yeah. So, can I put on my tinfoil hat?
Oh,
let me fry some bacon. Can I borrow some bacon?
Yeah, I actually have a little bit of bacon right here if you want to. I just got it from the grocery store next door.
You know, I've seen a lot of press on the Touch Bar, basically trying to make the MacBook Pro Touch Bar make sense. I've seen a lot of press apologizing for Apple Cloud services or denigrating them, but still, somehow saying the iPhone 7 is the best phone of the year.
Well, that's true. That is true.
Well, I know, Chris. I know. How come no one's like? Maybe it's the tech blogs I read, The Verge, Recode, which are now the same people, TechCrunch. No one's really like off, singing the praises or following Microsoft in what I think is the, frankly, quantity that they should be, right? With the frequency that they ought to be. Punch for punch, Microsoft, certainly has had a better year than Apple. I don't think you could argue that Apple had a better year in terms of interesting announcements for the tech community.
I would say the part of the problem is that what Apple dabbles in, consumer devices, is much easier for them to wrap their head around aesthetics-wise, design-wise, build-wise, consumer experience-wise, market product chain-wise. But what Microsoft is building, which is highly more technical and intellectual and behind closed doors in a data center, it is much harder for them to understand. You can be somebody who's worked with Microsoft for 10, 15 years and not fully understand the licensing scheme of Microsoft's commercial software. I mean, look at Paul Thurrott. The man's followed them his entire career, and he still gets confused by the dynamics of Microsoft licensing.
My love. Do you remember 3 years ago when I was saying that I felt like designers had really taken over the whole tech space and development community? Mm-hmm. Is it possible that they've also done the same thing in tech journalism, where everything is from a design perspective?
Well, everybody's an armchair Johnny Ive now. Everybody is. Everybody has to be perfect. It has to be metal. It has to be glass.
I have read more about fucking bezels this year than about what I think was probably the most interesting release of the year from any of the big, and I'll even add Amazon. I usually say big three, but big four companies, which is probably the Microsoft Bot Framework. I think that was probably the best announcement of the year. The Google Actions might beat it, but it just happened a week and a half ago, so I'm still a little uneasy on it, where I've had months to play with the Bot Framework. And it got announcement, it got reviews, it got write-ups, but then it was gone. Where, the freaking MacBook Pro, which I get it. I wanted a new MacBook Pro. I didn't get what I wanted, but I know there was.
I can explain it to you. Do you want to? I'll give you an analogy.
No, just hold out for like 1 second, right? It's a freaking laptop.
The man's got a point.
There are a dozen other laptops you can buy. Okay, go ahead. I'm just saying, right? Like,
the problem is, it's just like when you're in a meeting and everybody's silent when there's really important technical decisions that need to be fully considered. Everybody is kind of just shuts up and just follows your lead. And then when it gets to, well, what color should the background be? Every single person at the table has an opinion.
But you know what? The meeting is full of accountants and PR people. I expect tech journalists to be, forward leaning. They should see a technology and see what it could do, not what it's already doing, right? They shouldn't say, oh, well, no one uses the Microsoft framework yet because, it's brand new. Well, of course it's brand new. But, have a little bit of creativity and look at it and look at the possibilities. And this is not like Microsoft is not paying me. I have been very critical of Microsoft in the past. This is not anything like shady going on. But you know what? If it was the Mycroft bot framework or the Facebook bot framework, I'd be saying the same thing. Why is it that, and maybe I'll just put it bluntly, why do I get multiple Verge, Recode, TechCrunch, Ars Technica reviews of Apple changing icon colors and, the keyboard in the MacBook Pro, but someone releases actual new developer-focused technology that could, and that's a big could in italics, right, could change the way people live their lives? Why does that get a cursory look?
It has to be that they don't understand it. And
it's too hard. So you're telling me?
I think they bought into the Apple hype too. I think as Apple got sort of,
I would believe.
As the iPhone was really at its peak trajectory, and it was, well, Apple must be right because what's making the iPhone win? Well, it's design, it's attention to detail. That's what's making the iPhone win. So that's how we're going to view everything. And then that's and Samsung and all the others, they also played along. But the mobile phone, it allowed people to sort of decide what are all of the things we collectively decide are important, and that is by which we will measure all. When in reality, that's never, ever going to be a one-size-fits-all solution that actually works. That's just what the market lazily arrives to. So that way, well, this is how you do it. This is what the review is. These are the things you talk about. Boom. Review done. Ship it, put some ads on it. And instead of actually taking a practical, deep look at something, there's very, very few reviews out there. There are some, but they're like the special little roses of reviews out there that people flock to.
Garbage, Chris. That's garbage. I mean, maybe I'm being old man Mike again, putting on my curmudgeon cane, but I remember buying physical tech magazines. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah.
Remember Borders, the bookstore that Amazon murdered? And like having really deep reviews. Now, maybe I didn't always agree with the review, and given my youth at the time, I never did. But like they would actually look at the system from a of course a design perspective, yes, but also a technical, a development, a system admin, the whole, not just this dogmatic focus on user experience, this whole a wider view of not only what is the system now for users, but what can it be extended to be by third-party developers or indeed the first-party developer. And I mean, maybe I'm going to the wrong websites. If somebody could share with me a link on our subreddit, I'd appreciate it. But all I'm seeing out of the tech press is like, X millimeters thinner and, this, the Apple Mail app changed. Who cares? You are not the mainstream media. That's what I expect from CNN. That's what I expect from the Wall Street Journal. You are the tech press. I expect something much more ambitious.
The problem is the tech press is worse. That's the issue. Like, and it's everywhere. It's every aspect of it. There are definitely times like, well, the Linux Action Show will do a pretty in-depth review of a distribution. And then I go read other reviews, and it's obvious they barely even used it. But they still get lots of traffic, lots of reads.
So not everybody needs to do like a, oh my God, John Syracuse review of Mac OS, right? Like when I do a bunch of reviews, I listen to Linux Action Reviews, and then I write my own. And yours are much more focused on the wider use cases. I focus specifically on what I do, right? Mm-hmm. That's okay, right? There can be reviews that are just for people who do development. There can be reviews just for the common user. But when I'm going to the tech press, my expectation is not the common user. it's either power users or maybe that is the failing on me.
That's how it used to be, yeah. And it has transitioned. It transitioned a while ago. And, that's one of the things, not to toot our own horn, but that's one of the things that JB tries to do is stand out, is we try to have more than just the Silicon Valley surface level discussion of tech news.
Like, okay, why do I need to know what Jack Dorsey thinks of everything?
I know, right?
A whole nother problem. But
yeah. People in the real world don't care nearly as much about Twitter as the tech press thinks they do.
I'm starting to care less. And I tweet, as people know, I tweet. In fact, I had a party with my friends and, real world friends, not tech friends. And they were all kind of making fun of me, like, you tweet like 10 times a day. It's crazy. They all hate Twitter. They absolutely hate Twitter because, everybody is monsters on the internet, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wishing back to the late 90s, right? I'm looking for a world that doesn't exist anymore.
And there are a few of them out there, but...
Well, I mean, I'll give him credit, right? Thurrott.com. Paul Thurrott actually does what I want. He just does it on stuff I don't necessarily care about.
Yeah, that's part of what's going on is
right.
There are some people that hypercover. Like, you could go find a lot of really great in-depth coverage on ham radio stuff, too.
Sure. Well, I mean, I guess I could, but
yeah, it's the issue is that when it comes to like the stuff that that affects everyone's lives, the more general stuff, we really have fallen down there. And the issue is that's almost the most egregious because that is the one that actually affects the most people.
Well, my issue is that, in the same breath, the same journalists seem to complain about like stagnation, right? Well, if you're only covering the newest iPhone and, the very, very minor changes and point updates to Mac OS, and I don't mean to criticize the Apple fanboys, right? It could be the more I get into Linux, the more I realize Ubuntu is the Mac OS of Linux, right? It's the prepackaged, done for you, has the most mind share. I don't want to hit this too hard. I'm going to back off from this, but I'm noticing, like, I'm looking at some Ubuntu sites and I'm looking at like The Verge and I'm noticing a lot of similarities there where there's like almost like a cultural aspect to it that seems very top down rather than democratic. Anyway, Chris saved me. I really don't want to piss off Mark Shuttleworth today.
I think it's a fair observation. He is a benevolent dictator of Ubuntu. That is his gerb. All right, so we have.
Can we talk about Swift real fast?
Tech Press in 2016, total crap. Probably gonna be 2017 crap too. But yeah, do you want to talk about Swift? Do you really?
I actually do.
All right, lay it on me. I mean, how have you? I would say this in my seat. It seems your view of Swift has softened and improved quite a bit over 2016.
Yeah, I mean, I've also done less of it though, right? So it's had fewer opportunities.
That helps. Boy, that sure helps.
I still don't think Swift is a thing that needs to exist. I get the type safety and all, and we're not going to go back to listen to the back catalog if you're really curious about this, but I'm following the Evolution mailing list. I'm following the Swift GitHub, and it does look like 2017 is going to be a much less painful year for folks using Swift, which I think will actually help Swift adoption. So I'm going to go on a limb and say that Swift will be one of the major languages in 2017. And I think it will eclipse Objective-C.
All right.
I mean, not in Eatontown, New Jersey. I can assure you of that. But
you're not like talking like you're going to start seeing it on Android big though.
No.
Because all right, that would be a bold, daring prediction that you'd probably get wrong.
Yeah, Android is. I think they're just going to stick with Java, right? I mean, why would they move? It doesn't make sense.
Sure, give us something great to talk about.
Well, Tech Press would have something to do if they decide to do anything about it. Boom.
Kapow. Well, I got a couple things I want to throw at your face.
Please.
Have you tried the Mario run at all? Do you care? Have you tried it?
Yeah, I have. They got $10, and then they got like a 2-star review.
Oh, snaps. Okay, all right.
Well, I'm sorry. When you're crashing on my brand new iPhone 7.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay, so let's talk about that, GitHub, and then I have to ask you about that Windows server. But first, Linux Academy. linuxacademy.com/coders. linuxacademy.com/coders. Go there. go there and get a 7-day free trial of the Linux Academy platform. A great place to learn more about the itty-nitty, itsy-bitsy details of Linux or all the big stuff. We were just talking about Azure and Microsoft. You can get courseware on that. If you want to go get your certs, they have great courseware that gives you specifics to prepare. And man, you combine that with their labs that give you hands-on scenario-based training, and the two will probably, if you're like me and you test like a jerk, will probably help you do a lot better. Their community is active, it's vibrant, it's full of Jupiter Broadcasting members. They have lab servers they spin up on demand. They have new courses they've just started. In fact, I would also check out their Twitter feed. They had had some very fun bowling pictures posted. Also, a little link to some new content that some of their instructors are working on. Check out their practice exams and the course scheduler too if you have a busy day. They have iOS and Android apps to help you do it on the go. You can do it in the bus. You can do it in the car. You can do it while you're walking down the side of the street. Do what? Learn. linuxacademy.com/coders. Big thank you to Linux Academy for sponsoring the Coder Radio program. I also recommend you check out their Twitter feed at linuxacademy.com on Twitter. And I haven't checked today, but just a couple days ago I was looking. They still have some new positions open. So if you're looking for a job and you want to know more, you can go to linuxacademy.com/careers. I believe they had some back-end positions open as well as some instructor positions. So check it out, linuxacademy.com/careers, because they're growing like crazy and always adding to new content. linuxacademy.com/coders there. Coders is where you go, though, to support the show. linuxacademy.com/coders. Thanks, Linux Academy. So GitHub is not doing so good. They lost $27 million in 2016. So 2016 was not a great year for GitHub either. That was according to an income statement.
In California, that's good, right?
Yeah. You know what's nuts is it generated $95 million in revenue during that same period. But they ended up losing $27 million for 2016.
So actually, one thing we didn't talk about is GitHub changed their repo pricing plan in 2016, which is actually, why are the cops always right outside my office? Hang on.
You know, they're coming to get you. They're coming to get you. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Bad boys. So they lost 27 mil. Was that the number?
Yeah. After taking in 95.
How do we feel about this, Chris? Because I sounded off on Reddit and I got a lot of I agree, one slap down, and then on Twitter I got a lot of you just hate startups.
Well, I really hope that maybe they just lean up. I think that's a cool company.
She would have fire a bunch of people, basically.
Actually, if they just didn't have such expensive offices and such fancy.
I'm sorry, you're saying your lobby is not a replica of the Oval Office?
Yeah,
theirs actually is.
Yeah, and also they tend to have one of the most expensive booths at events with sometimes they have 3 or 4 spaces they've bought out, and they bring in DJs and couch equipment and big screens and lights and smoke effects. I mean, these guys spend tens of thousands of dollars at events. They have a big budget they're working with. There's just I could just say just trim a little bit.
I'm having a hard time with the GitHub case because I don't really see them. When I think startup, I think a couple guys in a 1 or 2 room office.
Yeah.
Not multi-billion-dollar company that can't seem to make money.
Jeez, they lost $66 million in 9 months. Woo.
Yeah.
That is.
One of the things they were doing is they were really pushing into the enterprise, right?
Yep. Po and into police enforcement, I believe, too.
Yeah, I don't know. Things are getting rough here.
So I've been seeing a lot of Mario's too expensive. Mario Run is too expensive. It's $10. How dare Nintendo? $10. And I really hate seeing that. I mean, who says what is too expensive? $10 for a Mario game. Back in my day.
My issue is not that it's expensive. My issue is that it doesn't work.
I have not had any problems, but I have not played it very much.
Really?
What's happening to you? What's happening over there?
It habitually crashes on my iPhone 7.
Really? How? At any particular place, or I'm only into World 2 or something.
It seems to be if I try to unpop his bubble, which I know sounds weird, but when you fall off a cliff or something.
I do that all the time.
That seems to crash it more. I don't know if it's because I'm hitting the screen too many times because I miss, and it's doing something with each parse. I do know that the game is always online, so I'm not wondering if there isn't
What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
I think that's actually retarded. That's really bad.
They say it's to help piracy, to prevent piracy.
Yeah, Nintendo doesn't even. people are going to pirate your game anyway.
Yeah, they're just gonna use DNS tricks or something.
Right. And also, your game is $10. Is there that much? Was it worth it to implement this piracy tracking thing? I don't know. It's not a bad game. I'm actually happy that it exists.
They
for the
probably intend to
platform.
use it on all of their future games, I would imagine.
Yeah. See, but my problem is this is the exact game like I would want to play on an airplane, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't.
Yeah. That's a good point.
You know what the great thing about a Nintendo Game Boy is?
What?
You can play it on an airplane.
Yeah, that's true, or a DS or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Right, whatever
Yeah.
they call it now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the old Game Boys.
You
but-
old man. Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's fun. That's why we don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but it is fun. It's noteworthy. It did a ton of downloads.
No, I don't think
It,
I don't think it deserves all the hate it's getting, but I definitely think that the always online sort of requirement doesn't make sense.
it broke through Pokemon Go records, which is
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Pokemon Go is like circling the drain according to Recode,
yeah.
which I find hard to believe given the amount of money they make. But
Wow,
things are different in California.
Nintendo's probably making a lot of money though.
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, is this something we're going to see continuing licensing deals with big gaming companies? Because if so, and if I were an independent game developer, I would be shitting my pants.
Yeah, I think so. I think you are. I think this they're going to do more of this after the. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they do Metroid runs, Zelda runs?
Well, I don't know why they did it like 3 years ago, right? I mean, to me, this is obvious.
Yeah, I know. And now, I mean, how could they not at this point? How could they freaking
Right.
not?
Free money.
Yeah.
And Apple, I love how Apple selectively promotes things like this.
Oh boy, do they, huh? Yeah, that
Yeah.
whole push notification for when the app is available.
You open up the App Store, there's like 4 banners for Mario Go.
Yep, yeah, and it's been up there since the day of the keynote. Basically pushing it. I think they were hoping to sell probably some iOS devices with this for the holidays. You think? Maybe people are buying
Yes,
some.
yeah, they were pushing the exclusive.
Yeah. That's interesting too. But hey, we'll see. Okay, should we start the Android clock? So how long into 2017 until Mario Run is available?
I think June.
You think they must have built it cross-platform to begin with, at least at some level. So they must have just like
I would be amazed if this isn't written. Nintendo does have a relationship. Back in another life, when I briefly was doing Wii U development, they do have a relationship with Unity.
So you don't think there's a chance that it'll never come to Android?
Oh no, I think it's absolutely. What I'm saying is, I think it's written in Unity.
Yeah. I don't know. I just can't.
something
No
like it.
way. Well, okay. I would say, yeah, I think June too. I think June is I think that's a good time. That's a good guess. So,
Why would they not use Unity though? That's the toolkit that they push on their developers.
I don't know.
Remember, they have. I mean, maybe we've never talked about this, but
If they did, there's no like branding that comes up when you launch the game.
They're Nintendo. They just threw some money at them. I mean, hey guys, go away.
Yeah, maybe so.
Community needs the money. So okay, thanks. Bye.
I wonder if anybody out there in the audience knows. Let us.
I would love to know. I mean, maybe it's like a C++ thing that they're doing.
It's all in Swift, Mike. 100% Swift 3.
That would be like the dumbest decision ever.
All right. Speaking of dumbest decisions ever, did you just get a dedicated Windows server? What the hell is going on?
I'm sorry, the connection seems to be breaking up.
I get on Twitter this morning. There's a turd in my stream about some lunatic buying a dedicated Windows server.
Yeah, you must be confused.
I don't.
Oh, that's a very convincing screenshot you just put up there, though.
It's negative in the freedom dimension.
So what's going on over there? Some sort of .NET shenanigans? What's going on?
A little bit of .NET shenanigans. Yeah, we're just trying to help somebody out. All right, man.
I love it.
Just trying to.
So
trying
what
to
is
help
that
somebody
experience like? Are you able to remote desktop into it? Could you get like a full Windows?
Yeah, it's a box, right? It's a Windows box.
It's not even a VPS. It's like an actual piece of metal.
This is no, it is a piece of metal. I think actually, this one is a piece of metal. I hate to tell you, there are others.
There have
not
been
me.
others too.
Yes.
I can't believe I'm finding
No,
out
I
like
know.
this.
I know this is like there have been Azure instances. I mean, it's really. I don't know what to say, Chris. I'm so sorry.
Somehow we'll rebuild and move forward. I guess somehow.
On a digital ocean droplet.
How is that process though? Has it all been
Horrible. Yeah, spinning up a new Windows box is never fun.
I foresee no more of those in 2017. No, I kid. You probably will have.
No, here's the problem, right? I've been going this enterprise legacy way, and this is just the way of the world. You know, I've migrated more Access databases than I care to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, one would be more than I care to talk about, but you get my point. Yeah, it's just not a happy place.
I say that we have some good, fun predictions for 2017 from the audience. If they were willing, go to coderadio.reddit.com, look for 236. You can just leave a comment on the 236 thread, if you will, and let us know what you're seeing coming down the pipe for 2017, because I might get our wheels spinning for next episode.
Boom. New year, new problems.
Now, next week, we will not be live. We will have a clip show that was put together using Rekai's Total Beard program. It's very advanced, and so it's a great selection of clips. And it might be a good one to introduce a friend to the show, too, if you want to share the link for the holidays. Share Coda Radio for the holidays, Mike. Right? Got to share
That's right. And for Kwanzaa.
Yes, of course. And now, is there anything else we want to cover in this week's episode of the Coda Radio program, Mr. Dominic?
No, I just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Yeah.
And remember, it is okay to spin up a Windows box if you don't inhale.
If they want to get a little of that holiday cheer online, where would they find you?
They could go to DominicM.com or Buccaneer.io.
I love it. You can find me at Chris LAS, the network at Jupiter Signal, the subreddit, coderadio.reddit.com, live times at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. And then when we are live, which is just about every dang Monday, we do it over jblive.tv. So why not come and join us one time? Or you can be on the other end of it. Just sit back and let us come to you. Just subscribe to the RSS feed, and then you'll get an episode every single week. Okay, everybody, thanks so much for tuning this week's episode of the Coda Radio program. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you right back here next year.